The three most popular ways to get alternative citizenship are by where you're born, who your parents are, and how much you can pay. Governments across the globe are restricting the former two, only the third is expanding. And that shift changes the calculus for anyone thinking about a second passport. Here's what's happening and what it means for you as someone who wants more options, not fewer. Most people never choose their citizenship. Rather, it was chosen for them by rules shaped centuries ago by feudal obligation, colonial settlement, or ethnic nationalization. Three Latin phrases capture the main doctrines. Jus soli, right of the soil, ties citizenship to where you're born. This is also called birthright citizenship. Jus sanguinis, right of blood, passes it through your parents. Jus pecuniae, right of money, grants it in exchange for an economic contribution. In other words, citizenship by investment. Sure, other paths exist. Marriage, long-term residency, discretionary exceptions, but these three form the structural foundation. So why are birthright citizenships and citizenship by descent opportunities contracting? Birthright citizenship traces back to 1608, when the English jurist Edward Coke ruled in Calvin's case that anyone born under the king's dominion was a natural subject. Colonial powers carried the principle across the Atlantic for a simple reason: settler states needed people, and birthright citizenship was the fastest way to build the local population. The American version, written into the 14th Amendment in 1868, is the most prominent example. According to our citizenship catalogue, at least 33 countries still apply unconditional jus soli. All but 6 of them sit in the Western Hemisphere. But that number has been falling for decades. Britain ended unconditional birthright citizenship in 1981. Australia followed in 1986. India restricted it in 1987, then again in 2004. Ireland held out longest in Europe until a 2005 referendum saw 79% of voters approve a constitutional amendment to eliminate it. That means that no European country now offers unconditional birthright citizenship. France, Germany, and Portugal maintain conditional versions requiring parental residence, but the trend tells an important story. And now the United States may be next. President Trump signed Executive Order 14-160 on January 20th, 2025, aiming to strip automatic citizenship from children born to undocumented or temporary visa parents in the United States. Every federal court that has reviewed it issued an injunction. The Supreme Court dismantled the universal injunctions in Trump v. Casa in June 2025, then accepted Barbara v. Trump for full review in December, with oral arguments expected by summer 2026. If that order survives, the United States will become the first developed nation to curtail jus soli by executive action rather than legislation or referendum. Now, citizenship by descent, jus sanguinis, is the global default. The Napoleonic Code popularized it in the 19th century, and nearly every country in Europe, Asia, and Africa treats parental citizenship as the primary basis for nationality at birth. Nobody contests first-generation transmission. The political battles are about generational depth. How far back can the chain go? Italy was the extreme case. Until March 2025, descent-based citizenship could pass indefinitely. A Brazilian whose great-great-grandparents left Calabria in 1890 could claim an Italian passport, and with it, full EU residency rights without ever even visiting the country or speaking the language. An estimated 80 million people worldwide, roughly the population of Germany, were theoretically eligible for this previous version of the law. That ended with Decree Law No. 36, adopted March 28, 2025. Applicants now need at least one parent or grandparent who held Italian citizenship. Administrative backlogs, security concerns, and the sheer scale of 80 million potential claimants with zero connection to the Republic at all played a role. Italy was an outlier in its generosity, but the direction is not unique. Ireland conditions descent citizenship on parental connection. Germany increasingly demands genuine link criteria. So all of these restrictions on citizenship by birth and descent reclassifies people who assumed they had a free path into potential customers for a paid one. If you want to stay current on these rule changes as they happen, IMI Daily covers them all as they hit the government gazettes. Link to the newsletter is in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel too. So, as we just noted, citizenship by investment is growing rapidly to replace the demand for citizenship by birth and descent. Jus Pecuniae is by far the youngest doctrine. Its intellectual roots trace to ancient Rome, where civic rights were granted for economic contribution. Julius Caesar famously never demanded genuine links. The modern version dates to 1984, when Caribbean nation St. Kitts and Nevis opened the world's first citizenship by investment program just 1 year after independence. For 2 decades, almost nobody contributed to it. Then, globalization and geopolitical instability changed the equation. Between 2011 and 2017, capital deployed through just 11 major residence and citizenship programs jumped from $2.86 billion to $12.4 billion, a compound annual growth rate of 23.4%. The global investment migration market, which includes both residency and citizenship by investment programs, is now conservatively valued at over $20 billion a year. For the countries running these programs, the revenue is not supplementary. Dominica's CBI program generated $232 million in fiscal year 2022, equal to 37% of the country's entire GDP. Jordan brought in $1.38 billion from just 531 investors through December 2024. Grenada processed 1,314 applications that same year for $186 million. The European Union has spent a decade trying to eliminate the citizenship model within its borders. Cyprus closed its program in 2020. Malta's program fell to a European Court of Justice ruling in 2025. But neither closure reduced demand. Henley & Partners reported that residency and citizenship applications from UK nationals surged 183% in Q1 2025 alone, driven partly by the abolition of their non-domiciled tax regime. The supply side is expanding too. At least 14 countries are proposing or legislating new programs. Argentina will become the first in South America. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has confirmed a 2026 launch, plus 15 to 20 total programs in sovereign nations worldwide attract foreign investment to their economies. Now, if you're planning on making yourself as resilient and sovereign as possible, you should know that flag theory is dead. What's replaced it actually works in a world of globalization and constant automatic data exchange. Check out the video on your screen now to learn how platforms have replaced passports and why the American market has changed investment migration forever. Check it out now.